President Trump and Republican congressional leaders are trying to come up with a plan tonight to get the president's agenda flowing through the legislative pipeline as the legislative calendar closes in for the fiscal year, and frankly, they're running out of legislative days. The main issues: health care and tax reform. And the main challenge: getting GOP lawmakers to come together and use their majorities to get things done. It sounds easier than it's been. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts starts us off tonight on the North Lawn with this afternoon's big meeting. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. With the news cycle expected to be dominated over the next 3 days or so by the appearance of James Comey on Capitol Hill, President Trump today took the opportunity of a brief lull in the action to reinvigorate his legislative priorities.
At the core of this agenda is repealing and replacing the disaster known as Obamacare.
President Trump moving to put his legislative agenda back on track after weeks of inaction, meeting at the White House today with the Republican congressional leadership.
If Congress doesn't act to save Americans from this Democrat-inflicted catastrophe, next year is only going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse.
The president wants to get the Senate chugging away on the plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell wants it put to a vote by the end of June.
What's clear is that we have to act. Otherwise, more Americans will be stuck paying the price of Obamacare's continuing failures.
The White House is hoping to have it all buttoned up by the August recess, despite zero support from Democrats.
Our colleagues constantly remind us that Obamacare didn't work because it was done by one party. But now they're letting Trump lead them to do the same thing on just about every major issue.
More and more Republicans are becoming concerned that a major hindrance to the president's legislative agenda is his incessant use of Twitter. Listen to Senator McConnell just minutes before meeting with the president today.
I can only say what I've said before. I'm not a fan of the president's tweets, and that still remains my view.
Add to that what Senator Bob Corker said yesterday.
Probably it's best to refrain from communicating with 140 characters on topics that are so important.
This morning, the president dismissed any notion of backing off, tweeting, quote, "The fake mainstream media is working so hard trying to get me not to use social media. They hate that I can get the honest and unfiltered message out." This afternoon, the press secretary said, why quit?
And I think his use of social media, he now has a collective total of close to 110 million people across different platforms, gives him an opportunity to speak straight to the American people, which has proved to be a very, very effective tool.
Using it and using it wisely can be two different things.
Right, and I think the same people who are critiquing his use of it now critiqued it during the election, and it turned out pretty well for him then.
What's unclear is whether the president's tweet storms are merely presidential musings or if they reflect official policy. Yesterday, White House aide Sebastian Gorka suggested the former.
It's not policy. It's not an executive order. It's social media. Please understand the difference.
But today, Sean Spicer said it's definitely the latter.
The president is the president of the United States, so they're considered official statements by the president of the United States.
The other big legislative priority for the White House, of course, is tax reform. The White House hopes to have legislation hammered out by Labor Day. The ultimate goal is tax reform that does not add to the deficit. The White House sources tell Fox News the top priority is enacting tax cuts to help spur the economy. Brett?
John Roberts, live on the North Lawn. John, thank you.